Story 1. Everyone wants a dream partner, but very few people are willing to be the dream partner by working on themselves. Story 2. When I ask my employer for monetary compensation, they inquire if I need a mental health checkup. However, they have no issue expecting free work. Story 3. The two-tiered justice system makes it much easier to evade consequences or dismiss charges if you are wealthy. Story 4. Children must respect their elders, but elders can sometimes treat them poorly, and children are expected to accept it. Story 5. Political double standards. If one party does something, it is acceptable, but if the other party does it, it becomes a crime. Right is right, wrong is wrong. Story 6. Pretty privileges exist. Everyone wants to date someone attractive, which is understandable. However, the impact on careers and how judges or doctors treat individuals is significant, yet it often goes unnoticed. Story 7. Birth control. My wife and I decided early on that we were never going to have children. For 10 years, she was on Depo-Provera birth control. They recommend coming off it after that period due to links to osteoporosis. So she did. Over those 10 years, she told the nurses that she would like to have her tubes tied since we did not want to have children. And at every step, she was met with resistance in case she or I ever changed our minds. Once she came off birth control, I said if they were not prepared to tie her tubes, I would get a vasectomy. I barely sat down in my doctor's office before I was referred. No one asked, "What if you change your mind?" No one said, "Your biological clock is ticking." No one inquired, "What if your wife wants kids one day?" I was on the table before anyone even asked, "How many kids do you have?" I harbor no ill will about getting a vasectomy. It's the least I could do since she spent 10 years managing birth control with possible life-altering side effects. I openly advocate for it, as I could have been back at work the next day with no side effects. However, it is disheartening how a man's bodily autonomy is fully within his control, while a woman can be told she cannot choose what to do with her body when she knows with complete certainty and conviction what she wants. Story 8. The wealthy and elite, including our public servants, have a completely different criminal justice system than the rest of us. Story 9. Wealthy individuals hiding their money and not paying taxes, whether through illegal tax evasion or exploiting loopholes, are seen as making good business decisions. On the other hand, low-income individuals receiving minimal assistance from social aid programs to survive are often labeled as burdens. In reality, many strategies employed to gain and maintain wealth can be perceived as questionable practices. Story 10. I dislike that at work, when my manager is having a bad day, they are allowed to take it out on me and my coworkers. However, when I am having a bad day, I cannot express my frustration towards the manager. This is one of the worst double standards I experience at least a few times a week. I can handle rude customers because they come and go, and I do not see them again. However, I have to see my manager several times a week. It becomes very exhausting dealing with their behavior. Story 11. There are companies claiming they cannot find good workers who are skilled, loyal, committed, work hard, and get things done. Now, be over 55 years old with decades of a proven track record doing that work and apply for that job. Silence. Everyone says they dislike job discrimination, and everyone claims to be committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion principles. Yet a review of company staff pages online shows a lack of representation of older employees, except perhaps the owner or founder. No discrimination. Age discrimination is widespread, but there are no protections in place to guard against it. Consequently, talented individuals over 55 seeking work are overlooked. Story 12. No one is above the law. Wealthy people pay to avoid the consequences of their illegal actions. Everyone is equal before the law. Politicians and celebrities often evade accountability for serious crimes such as murder, sexual assault, and treason. Story 13. Pro-lifers are often the same group that does not want to pay anything to help a mother raise her children. Story 14. When a job requires you to give a 2-week notice so they can replace you, but they will fire you without a 2-week notice to find a new job. Story 15. Idolizing motherhood while treating mothers poorly. Offering very little maternity leave, charging excessive amounts for childbirth, and providing no assistance such as affordable childcare, even though mothers are often compelled to return to work before they have fully healed. Story 16. Didn't a college dean say that if two intoxicated students engage in sexual activity, the male is considered the rapist because it is the male's responsibility to seek consent? Story 17. Gender expectations refer to the different standards that apply to men and women regarding behavior, appearance, and career choices. Story 18. If wealthy individuals ruin something, they are seen as pranksters. If those from lower or middle classes do the same, it is often suggested that they were not raised properly. Story 19. Hourly wage workers must clock in and may be penalized if they are even 1 minute late. Management, who are not salaried, is not required to clock in, and it is not an issue if they are 10 to 15 minutes late. Story 20. In my country, New Zealand, many people believe that individuals receiving welfare assistance are lazy and stealing from taxpayers. In contrast, those same individuals often admire business owners who evade taxes and conceal their assets, considering them clever. Story 21. The constant criticism of disabled individuals who are perceived as lazy and unwilling to work is disheartening. Meanwhile, employers often prefer to hire those without disabilities because it is less costly than making reasonable adjustments and easier than accommodating sick leave and medical appointments. I developed a chronic illness about 5 years ago. Ever since, I have struggled to be honest about my symptoms without people assuming I am simply not trying hard enough. This is deeply painful, as I give all my effort each day. I love working, and I view it as a way to manage my pain. I deal with chronic pain daily, and staying busy with work often distracts me from my discomfort. Since 2019, I have held 5 different jobs. I lost 2 positions due to my illness and nearly lost 2 others because of excessive sick leave. My current job has been the most understanding regarding my health issues, but I am constantly anxious every time I need to take sick leave. Story 22. Wealthy individuals receive praise for their riches, while those from less privileged backgrounds encounter prejudice due to their origins. Story 23. Hatred of the kind, patient, poor, and suffering, while idolizing the rich, influential, greedy, pushy, and cruel. Story 24. I work as a caregiver part-time. Some power of attorneys do not allow men to assist clients with personal care tasks such as showering or changing diapers simply because they are men. I am not any more qualified to provide care because of my gender. It will always frustrate me. Story 25. Employers expect 2 weeks' notice. They do not offer 2 weeks' pay when they terminate employees for performance issues. Story 26. The idea that everyone needs to be perfect all the time throughout their entire lives, or else they should be canceled and have the rest of their lives ruined for making a mistake once, is unrealistic. We all have skeletons in our closets. There isn't a single person alive who hasn't made a mistake at some point. Story 27. Wealthy individuals using drugs. Party enthusiasts should not face imprisonment for letting off steam. Less affluent individuals using drugs. A disappointing waste of potential. Story 28. People think raising the minimum wage will increase prices, but they do not notice that when workers are replaced with machines to save money, prices do not decrease. Story 29. If a woman sleeps with multiple partners, she is considered promiscuous. However, if I do the same, I am labeled as gay. Story 30. Women suffering domestic abuse is rightly condemned. Men suffering domestic abuse is often laughed at and dismissed. Story 31. Rules exist for everyone, yet many argue that religious guidelines should be in place because they are considered decent or how things should be. However, these same individuals often refuse to follow the same rules when it comes to their own actions. I find it difficult to understand this contradiction. Story 32. Having enough to pay rent but not enough to buy a house. This may be a bit reductive, but elaborated upon, I believe people understand the general idea. Story 33. A child who throws tantrums, takes things from others without fair exchange, and leaves messes for others to clean up is disciplined by authority figures. An executive who behaves this way on a larger scale is so common that it has become a trope. Story 34. My coworkers at the cocktail bar asked if I could go for a smoke. The boss replied, "Sure, go ahead." I then asked, "Can I just relax in the kitchen for 5 minutes?" The boss questioned, "Is something wrong?" Go watch table XYZ. Story 35. I had to do hours of anti-corruption training when I took a job at a large agency. All the signs to look out for, report, and stop were exactly how our government operates. Do not accept lavish gifts, engage in private conversations about policy, offer favorable contract assignments, hold closed-door negotiations, or send personal messages to potential clients or bribers. It was quite overwhelming. In short, I am qualified to say we have a seriously corrupt government. Story 36. What constitutes criminal behavior for corporations compared to criminal behavior for individuals? For example, stealing a loaf of bread may lead to prison, while manipulating the market to steal $500 million might result in only a $5 million fine. Story 37. People making small mistakes with taxes or benefits, or even committing fraud for insignificant amounts, are often labeled as bad, criminal, or lazy, particularly when they are immigrants. In contrast, wealthy individuals or the government embezzling millions or billions of taxpayer money tends to receive less scrutiny. Story 38. People want to receive the best but are unwilling to make any sacrifices. And even when they do, they complain and sulk. Story 39. I am a woman, and I am shocked that people believe a man should simply endure while a woman mistreats him. Story 40. If you dislike your minimum wage job, then quit. Wait, why doesn't anyone want to work? Why do I have to wait so long for service? Why is no one working here? Story 41. That women are able to have an experimental phase in college. Story 42. America has ample resources to spend on military endeavors and subsidizing profits for billion-dollar corporations, but not enough to feed, educate, or provide a decent standard of living for its people. Story 43. News articles report that a female teacher had sexual relations with a 15-year-old, while a male teacher has been identified as a pedophile. Both individuals are engaging in inappropriate behavior. Story 44. In the United States, members of Congress are exempt from insider trading laws. Additionally, current and former law enforcement officers can carry a concealed firearm in states and locations where civilians are prohibited from carrying. Story 45. Dating shows often feature episodes where female contestants watch male contestants take turns performing a striptease. Imagine the reaction if the roles were reversed. Story 46. Few over 1,000 comments, but welfare. From small businesses to large corporations, many companies are consuming resources at an alarming rate. The numbers are difficult to comprehend. Learn your values, people. 1 million seconds, about 10 days. 1 billion seconds, about 30 years. 1 trillion seconds, about 30,000 years. Story 47. The criminal justice system has 2 tiers. If you have money or power, you are fine. If you don't, you face significant challenges. Story 48. Have you seen the Nike runners' Olympic outfits? The men's uniforms are fine, but the women's are inappropriate. Story 49. I get 1 Big Mac and I eat it, but then I get 2 and I can't. Somebody needs to fix this double standard. Story 50. The student loan forgiveness was bypassed and rejected by Congress, while the pandemic business loans were immediately wiped clean, even with obvious cases of fraud. Story 51. Being told you are too young when wanting to obtain permanent birth control or sterilization, but not too young to have a child. Story 52. The far right falsely accuses transgender individuals of being child sex predators, while defending a church they know employs child sex abusers. Story 53. It is wrong for a man to hit a woman, but a woman can physically attack a man in public, and people often laugh, thinking it is funny or even mock him for being beaten by a girl. I find this incredibly infuriating, especially considering that there are very few domestic abuse support services for men. Story 54. Wanting your wife to change her last name to yours, while refusing to even consider changing yours seems unfair. She can hyphenate, so you can too. Story 55. Dogs and cats are treated like royalty. All other animals endure some of the most horrific conditions imaginable due to human greed and convenience. If you try to rescue a dog, you are considered a hero. However, if you attempt to rescue a factory-farmed animal, you may face prison time. Story 56. People with serious disabilities are treated in one of two ways. 1. You put in effort to manage your disability and appear capable. Society responds by downplaying your disability, suggesting that you are not really disabled, and denying you accommodations. You cannot or do not manage your disability, leading to pain, discomfort, and an unappealing appearance. Society reacts with revulsion, treating you as a disturbance and avoiding you. Either way, you are deprived of a fair chance, receiving a mix of pity and animosity. When people treat you badly, it feels as if they are targeting you because of your disability. When people treat you well, it feels like they are pitying you because of your disability. Story 57. When you live in your van because you are wealthy, it is considered trendy. When you live in your car because you are homeless, it is frowned upon. Story 58. Christian values as a whole. The same individuals who claim to uphold Christian values are often the most intolerant and bigoted. They fail to help those in need and exhibit behavior that is contrary to their beliefs. While I do not wish to make this political, the idea that Donald Trump is held in high regard despite being a multi-married, unfaithful husband seems absurd to me, not to mention his other faults. Story 59. If an older woman dates a younger man, she is just enjoying herself and you should leave her alone. If you are an older man dating a younger woman, you may be perceived as predatory and grooming her. Story 60. It's not the biggest issue in society like store-bought pesto, but white people can't play minority characters, but everyone has to accept white characters played by minority actors. A white actress has to apologize for voicing an Asian animated character, but Snow White being played by a tan-skinned actress isn't allowed to be irritating. Also, every race is supposed to be capitalized except for white. I'm a pretty liberal white man, but the double standards are frustrating. Even understanding the reasons, it remains frustrating. Story 61. If a mother chooses to work, she is often perceived as not doing a good enough job as a parent while still being expected to handle most, if not all, of the responsibilities of a stay-at-home caregiver. Juggling these roles makes her a good parent. If a father chooses to work, he is viewed as a provider, and his responsibilities as a parent are often seen as complete. If he takes on additional household tasks, it not only highlights his merits as a parent but also, by default, may portray the mother, whether she works outside the home or stays at home, as being lazy. Essentially, the only way a mother can be regarded as great by society is to make extreme sacrifices for her child, while for fathers, it is as challenging as being an actively supportive partner. Furthermore, a single father is often labeled a saint, whereas a single mother may be seen as someone who brought the situation upon herself. She might be unfairly judged for her choices, told she should have made different decisions, and held responsible if her child, particularly if it's a son, encounters problems with the law. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.